Are you a network marketer and you're looking to overcome a roadblock, as it were, in your business to smash through a plateau and get much better results? You probably think the way to do that would be for me to teach you a strategy, a tip, a tactic, something that you lack that you need to know to be able to overcome that. But I'm going to give you an alternative way to progress in your MLM business today. And this may not be something that you've ever been aware of. You're definitely going to want to do it at the end of this training. I'm going to run through some examples here with you and just reveal what was revealed to me years ago. And I was like, wow, it's a light bulb moment. So let's just dive straight into this. This is something that you should absolutely do before you start learning more tactics, more knowledge, more strategies, because you probably don't need more of that right now. Let me explain. So often people say, okay, when I first started coaching people nearly 10 years ago now in network marketing, it would puzzle me how I would give people the same training, the same knowledge, and there'd be such a variation in results. Because I would get people come to me, and the number one thing they would say was, Richard, I lack the knowledge. That's what I need to be able to get past this plateau or sponsor more people. You've sponsored 800 people, Richard. Like, I want to do what you've done. So I'd give them some knowledge, I'd give them some training, and I would see a huge variation in results. And then there'd be people out there, and I'd be like, well, what's caused this variation? So I would ask them, I'd say, hey, did you apply what I taught you? And some would say yes, and some would say no. I'd say, well, why didn't you do the homework? You came to me, you said, I got these dreams, these goals, save my family, save whatever, and you didn't even do what I taught you. That's really weird. Why didn't you do that? Well, they would say things along the lines of, I didn't apply it because it probably wouldn't work anyway. And I'd say, what do you mean it wouldn't work anyway? Well, I've tried things in the past, or I've tried things in network marketing before and it's never worked. So, what's the point in putting the time in? And I say, okay, here we now have it. It isn't a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of belief. Do you see that? No matter how much knowledge you tipped on this person, they're not going to use it. So it's irrelevant. It's just going to stockpile up on their laptop or in a dusty corner if it's a physical product, right? It's just going to stack up and they're going to look at it, it's going to frustrate them, and they're going to go, well, what's the point? It's not even real. It's not even going to work. Their perception is, because of their own lack of self-belief, that won't work for them anyway. So what's the point in getting their hopes up? So it's a lack of belief. That's something we need to work on. A lot of people say to me, well, Richard, it's all right, you're full-time, right? You've been full-time in this industry. If I just had more time, I'd be able to smash this business. You see this all the time, right? Oh, it's okay for the full-time people, but hey, I'm only working an hour a day, and if I did 3 hours a day, I'd have a much better results. Do you know what you'd have if you had 2 extra hours, 3 times as much time? You'd have 3 times the results. That's what you'd have if you could do the same things 3 times over. For most people, the results aren't very good when they say this. It's a reason how they explain away a lack of results, right? They don't really have any results to speak of. If I had more time, I'd have more results. No, if you had more time, you'd do more of what you're doing right now, and you'd have 3 lots of nothing, which is still nothing. So when people say they need more time, they don't. We work it back. I say, okay, what are you doing with your time right now? Well, I'm working the business. What are you doing to work the business? And we dig down, scrolling around on social media, wasting a lot of time in their inbox, messaging random people. They're just not doing what they know would work. Even when you ask them, they have better tactics that they're not applying. Why are you not using your time effectively? Well, you know what? I don't want to get my hopes up and then this not work for me. Something along those lines. So what is it? It's a fear problem. It's a fear of failure. What happens if I use the tactics and the time that I've got available and it's not enough? Then it's not a time problem, it's about me and my fear of moving forward. So again, is it a time management issue? No, it's a fear problem. So we work it back. It isn't a tactical problem. It isn't more knowledge about time management. It's about overcoming that fear. Let me give you one more, and I'll give you a solution. Okay? People often say, oh, it's easier for other people. Right? Easier for other people. I hear that one a lot. First thing, you don't really know what someone's been through or is going through. Like we have that saying, right? We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. It's absolutely true. So many people have said this to me over the years. Oh, it's easy for you. You know, you're building a successful business. You're sponsoring hundreds of people. And I'm like, I had 328 no's in a row over 3 companies. It took me 329 presentations until somebody said yes. Would you honestly have stuck that out? How many presentations have you done? I've done 50 and I'm already moaning. There you go. So I created my own luck. I created my own ease. Nothing has come easy. And they don't know what's going on in my personal life. Anything could be happening in my life right now, and your life right now. But the truth is, what are we going to do with that? The situation is what it is. We either put up or shut up, right? If it's too difficult to do anything with, then it's too difficult. Don't pretend like there's a missed opportunity when really it's us, and the same thing it comes back to. It's easier for others. That's based on presumption. Presumption that we have it tougher. Okay, there's one person that has it the toughest in the world, and the rest of us have it easier. So in progressive level, so that often the situation is a lot less black and white than we would like to believe. Now, why would we presume that it's easier for someone else? Well, because that means that it's harder for us. And the reason we're saying it's harder is because it makes it an external, not an internal problem. Well, why would we not take control of our results and all the success we could create? Why would we try and palm it off on an excuse on somebody else? What does it come back to? It's another fear problem, isn't it? It's a fear. It could be a failure. Sometimes it's a fear of success. Will it change me? Sometimes it's just a fear of looking foolish. If I say that I'm all in with this and I have no reason not to build it, that's a lot of pressure. Some people say, can I handle the pressure of it being me that's creating the results for my family? So can you see how just with those few examples that someone will often have in their head, oh, it's a tactical problem. I need another script, I need another tactic, I need another piece of knowledge, I need someone to train me on time management, I need somebody to accept that, hey, it's easier for them and those tactics won't work for me. Final one I'll give you is a lot of times people don't invest. Right? They don't even buy anything. I have all these problems. Okay, what have you done to solve them? Nothing. I've thought about it a lot. Oh, well, you know what thought did, don't you? Nothing, right? It's action that counts. And again, when we break it back, what do we say? Say, oh, well, these coaching is a rip-off. Programs, you know, they're expensive. The number of times I see people ask for recommendations on social media. Do you know somebody who's excellent at XYZ but cheap? Well, the two things don't go together unless the person's foolish in business, because if they've put their blood, sweat and tears to become a master at their craft, invested in themselves, got better, why would they give it to you for cheap? That's insulting to that person. It's like going to a surgeon, right? And a hospital hiring a surgeon who's been through a decade of education and so much hard work and then saying, we kind of only want to pay you a third, but can you do just as good a job? Well, that's disrespectful to that person. They're going to go elsewhere. Why would they demean their services, right? So often we try and pretend like, oh, it's the coach or the program that's overpriced. And you're just undervaluing it because, again, we're looking externally for an excuse that's really internal. So again, we may say, well, you know, I'm fearful that if I get that program and I believe in it and it doesn't work, what then? Well, what then is that you find out. Here's some solutions. You've got to have an outcome. You've got to have an outcome attitude. Okay? Outcome attitude. What does that mean? Time is always marching on, right? We can't stop time. Which means regardless of whether we do or do not do something, that's still an outcome. If I sit at home all day and don't move from the spot and somebody says, what did you do all day? And I say nothing. No, I did. Nothing was standing still in one place because time didn't stop. I didn't die and then become alive again at the end of the day. So I did something because time carried on going. So we have to have an outcome attitude. Whatever you do, there's going to be an outcome. And we take that outcome, we assess it, we adjust, and then we go again. That's what we do. We purchase a program. We assess the results. We make adjustments based off of that. Do we want to buy more from that person? Do we don't want to buy from that person? Do we go back over the program again? Do we do something totally different? And then we go again. I've purchased many, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of programs. There's been some pretty large purchases that sometimes have been completely, they haven't worked. I spent, I think it was 12 grand on something, didn't work at all. I spent another 9 grand on something, 10 grand on something, didn't work anywhere like I thought it would. But you know what I do? I go, oh, well, that's interesting. It's disappointing. I'll adjust and go again. How can I make a smarter decision next time? This is just the way it happens. But you know what else has happened? Well, in that process, because I carried on saying, well, I ain't going to let that spur me, take away my thunder, as it were. I found lots and lots of programs, lots of coaching, lots of people that have made a huge positive impact in my business. If the first failure or the second failure or the third failure is going to be enough for you, you're in the wrong game. Our industry is rife with rejection, with misunderstanding. It's an uphill battle. Any business or entrepreneurial pursuit is an uphill battle, right? Because people get afraid that you'll leave them behind. They get afraid you'll be successful. They're afraid what it says about them. So there's all sorts of negativity in your own story too. So what I want you to start to do is, I want you to start to look at things as outcomes as opposed to being all about you and all about somebody else. It is what it is. The thing is, what are you going to do about it, right? What are you going to do with it? And if you want some more help on this, let me give you a resource. If you go over to my website, richardmatheru.com, you'll see I've got a program on there called Goal Getter. This is something I recommend that you do before you move on to any more knowledge-based programs. This is what I always suggest to all my students and my clients. Do this first. It's the foundation. Because what that does for you is it gives you a high performance personally. It looks at your attitude, it looks at your fears, it looks at the way that you invest your time, it looks at the way that you think about yourself, the way you think about the industry, your business. More often than not, it's like you're in a glass box, a greenhouse. And this program removes the size so you can breathe, and then all of a sudden the same tactics you may have been using suddenly become much more high performing. Or if you are in the market for tactics, at least when you purchase them, they're going to work. You're going to use them. You're going to apply them the way that they should. So this is like a maximizer of everything you're ever going to do. That's why I created it, and I made it one of my lower priced products. Because I wanted to be able to give access to everybody so that if they do move on to the higher programs I've got, I know they're going to get far better results. Okay, so go and check that out. Go look at my website, look at the product section, and you'll see that product there. It may be something of benefit to you. I hope this has helped. Did this shine a light on a different attitude, a different area that you've never even considered? Maybe it stops you wasting a bunch of money on a bunch of things that aren't going to work for you because at the very core, something needs correcting. Don't see this as a weakness. Like I used to think, oh, if I need to fix me, that makes me weak. No, opposite. Like you're a human being, we have things happen to us, influences, family, relationships, deaths, illnesses, media. All these influences impact what we think about the world and ourselves. So it's no coincidence that we need some course correction with that, just the same as anything else in our life. So I'd love to be the person to help you with that. As always, go create a day in a life that counts. Always have more desires than excuses, and if you jump in that, we'll be working a bit closer together in there, so I look forward to that too. I'll catch you on the next one if you're a subscriber, and bye for now.